Welcome to Coffee. I'm Craig Hamilton Parker, a psychic medium. And if you've not seen this show before, you'll know that I make a lot of predictions about the future. I've made predictions about the Trump assassination recently. I've made predictions about all sorts of things that have been going on in the press. We'll cover some of those. And also today, I'm going to talk about Kamala Harris. I mean, there's a lot going on at the moment. This is a live show, so you'll be able to ask your questions later in the show. I'm going to consult the I Ching to see what that has to say. I'm going to give you a list of my predictions about Kamala Harris, give you some of my thoughts, and of course, take your questions. So, welcome to Coffee with Craig. Well, thanks for joining me on the show again. And I see some of you already coming in live on the little side screen here. We'll come to your questions a little bit later in the show, but do put your questions in and we'll highlight them so that we can have a chat with you on some of those, what you think about what's going on in American politics and politics around the world at the moment. And what do you think is going to happen? What's your view of what's going to happen? So always put your comments below, please, guys. Remember to give me a thumbs up because it helps the algorithm. It's tremendous help. It's only a little thing. Give me a thumbs up and it goes a long way to help others watch these videos. So, yes, it's all going on, isn't it? Kamala Harris, a possible challenger to Donald Trump. And I'm going to give you some thoughts about her today. Also, we'll have a talk about who will be her running mate, actually, and some of my feelings and predictions that I'm going to make about her bid for the presidency. Well, it's been quite a busy period, hasn't it, really, with what's been going on in the press. And I did get quite a lot right, I have to say. People have been commenting. I mean, the newspapers have been picking up on my predictions that I made, particularly the one a few days before Trump's assassination, where I said he would have an assassination attempt on him and he would escape unharmed, which something I also did say quite some time back.
There is a potential danger of assassination, not necessarily a death, maybe an assassination attempt. And again, this is one reason that I feel I must get this oracle to you, Donald Trump, because it says about this and other health issues that can be overcome by doing some very simple things suggested in this oracle.
I predict something very dark happens to President Joe Biden. What I'm seeing is, in effect, something that he's been pulled from power, sacked, as it were, and quite close to the election time. I'm seeing him kind of being removed almost at the last minute, being almost dragged off the stage. I feel him being carried off the stage. I don't know if that's symbolic or actual. And it's weeks before the election. And I feel that we've got, for a very short time, Kamala Harris in power, very short time, and then a scramble to find a new candidate. So also in 2024, we're going to see a significant amount of cyber attacks. There's something going to happen that's going to bring down some of the banking system. Also, I did say about Joe Biden would be removed from power. Also, that was said a number of times. I've been saying that. And I said that way before it was becoming self-evident that he had a dementia type of problem. So before there was any signs of that, I said he would be removed, and said again recently. Some of you will remember also that I spoke about Donald Trump would have a vice president that I felt was something like a woman of color. right? So I've seen a woman of color as being very, very important to help Trump's campaign. As it happened, we get JD Vance. So I'm perhaps not quite right there because I was saying it as the vice president, I have to say, but I was very interested to see his wife, actually. Ursha Chilukuri, I have to read it. It's still a hard name to pronounce because it's an Indian name. And isn't that interesting in some respects? Could this woman, because I get a very strong feeling with this woman that she's going to be very, very significant in the way ahead. And she's a good speaker, and she's of Indian origin. And you will remember part of the reason I said this before about this prediction was because it was written in the Naadi Oracles, something that seemed to suggest in Trump's Naadi that he would be helped by a woman of color. So let's see what happens there. Unless, of course, the oracle means that he'll be helped into his presidential position because of Kamala Harris, who was also, of course, a woman of color. Perhaps her very election as the candidate against him may be the very thing that will give him the final presidency. But let's see. But the first thing I'd like to do, actually, is have a look at what we call the I Ching Oracle. Now, I use this quite a lot, actually, with my work. Obviously, most of what I do is from pure clairvoyance, right? So, but I often, like most psychics, will also spend a bit of time looking at oracles. You know, some people use tarot and things like that, for example. I find that very, very difficult to make a predictions with for the future because it's very general, it's symbolism. But the I Ching was always used in ancient China centuries ago, thousands of years ago. They don't know how old the I Ching is. It means it comes out of Taoism, and it means the book of changes. So it tells us what changes are happening around the question asked. It kind of gives us as I tell people when they consult me, it's a kind of a spiritual weather forecast in a way. So it doesn't actually tell us the future, but it gives us the signs of what could happen in the future. So I thought, well, let's kick off first of all with an oracle prediction. I'm going to give you my clairvoyant insights. I'll give you a list of some of my thoughts of predictions for the future with Kamala Harris and what's going to happen. But let's have a quick look first at the I Ching Oracle. Now, the I Ching works by casting what we call a hexagram. So I've done that already, and we don't need to go into detail about how a hexagram's cast and what it means. But those of you that understand the I Ching, let's have some of your comments afterwards. So the question I asked the I Ching, and I had to be kind of fairly open with the question. I asked, what is the political future of Kamala Harris? Right, simple as that. So we cast the I Ching, we get what we call a group of broken and straight lines, which represent the yins and yangs cast. And sometimes we get what we call a changing or a moving line. And we have a moving line in this case in the fifth place of this hexagram. The fifth place actually being the ruler position. So it's a good position for in the hexagram. It dominates the rest of the hexagram. And this is called the moving line, which is perhaps very significant for this. So I asked about her political future, and we get the hexagram called Heng. And that translates basically as duration or long lasting. No, so the first thought with this is, okay, there's questions at the moment as whether she's actually going to get to the point where she does actually battle Trump face to face. But this gives us duration. Remembering I asked about the political future. So she's going to be there a long time anyway. There's definitely a suggestion with this hexagram that she's going to be there a long time, because this hexagram emphasizes the idea of long lasting. It shows the importance of things like perseverance. It shows stability, consistency. Those are important things with this. So these are the qualities that she will need to make any success if she's going to make any inway in her bid for the presidency. She's got to put forward an idea of being consistent, of being the continuation, of being the trusted candidate. Now, I know a lot of you are going to have completely different thoughts about this, but let's see what the Ching says. Remember, the Ching is neutral, but how we interpret it is obviously important. So it's got this quality of steadfastness and maintaining one's course over time. And these are the things that she's going to have to put forward. She's going to have to let people believe that she's got perseverance. You know, she should maintain her current path. She's got to show resilience and dedication. She's got to show stability. These are going to be the qualities that Trump's going to be up against with this. She's going to have to say that her political future is there for the long term, because this is all about long-term visions. So there's a lot of short-termism at the moment in the candidates' proposals for what they see for the future. You know, we've got to sort this problem, sort this, but something for the long term. She's got to show something long term. Now we get this moving line, and it's a strange moving line because, like I said, it's in the most prominent position. I've got to open on the page for duration. Here we go. So we've got number 6. We've got 6 in the 5th place, and those that know the Ching knows that the 6th place is an important position. A 5th place rather. 5th place is an important position because it rules the hexagram in many ways. 2nd place and the 5th place are both very important. So this is what it says. It says this. I'm going to read it to you now. A bit closer to me like this. So there it is. Look how battered it is. I've been using it for years. I bought this from New, was given it from New when I was 14 years old. Okay, this is the Wilhelm translation we're reading from now. Giving duration to one's character through perseverance. This is good fortune for a woman, misfortune for a man. Now, when you read that, you think, okay, this is unfortunate for Donald Trump, or is it unfortunate? Is it fortunate for her? Does it mean she's going to get a run on him? Well, the way you interpret this is the important thing. The hexagram talks about that this line suggests kind of gentleness in many ways. Her strong principle for all this is going to be the appealing to the female voter. This position of this line, I'm just looking for it, I've got it on the screen here, so that shows that she's kind of going to be able to develop a quite a influential position in her political career, but it's going to be held there because of the idea of right principles but gentleness. You know, it's talking about walking the central path with this line. This is the path to success, through the central path. So you've got to come across gentle, you've got to come across caring, you've got to come across traditional, trusted. Don't rock the boat, don't upset things. This is the attitude that will give her some dominance, it suggests. But the problem is, this hexagram also says that a man must be guided by duty. In the text, in the commentary on it, it says, according to it's right for a woman to hold conservatively to tradition, but a man must always be flexible and adaptable and allow himself to be guided solely by what duty requires of him at the moment. So it kind of contrasts the idea that this is okay, this soft attitude is okay. I interpret it as saying, but does it actually work on a world stage where we're up against ferocious forces like Putin, like Xi Jinping, like North Korea and Ukraine and all these things? This is where I think it possibly suggests that there could be some other issues that might upset things. There will be something that could be a real major critical challenge. Now, if we look at the future hexagram, now the hexagram has that moving line. So we got a 6, which then changed. That means it's a yin line changing to a yang line, which means we can plot another hexagram from it, basically. Some of you tell me off for this because there's lots of ways of doing these things, but this basically give us a future hexagram. And the future hexagram is du gao, which means great exceeding, extreme pressure in many ways. The moving lines of this hexagram, which we won't get a moving line on the future hexagram, but it gives a great pressure. It's translated by Wilhelm as being preponderance of the great, a very heavy sort of hexagram. It indicates a period of significant pressure and challenges that require a great deal of effort to overcome. It represents a sort of critical time when strength and decisiveness are essential. So this also hexagram also warns about the potential of being overburdened and not being able to carry that heavy burden, and the danger of and importance of keeping a very careful balance on things. So can this sort of almost mummy sort of attitude, you know, this nurturing sort of attitude that the moving line's talking about in the first hexagram, could that work on a world stage? That's where I think it shows fault. And that, I think, is where her weakness will be, because there's going to be quite a lot of struggles ahead, I think. I think this is looking at the way the Ching gives it. It gives a fairly positive energy for Kamala Harris. So it's going to be a right battle. I think it will be pretty much neck and neck still with the battles ahead. Although Trump's been leading in the polls because of the assassination attempt, there's still a lot to come with this. So it's a matter, first of all, of there's going to be a period of intense challenges ahead. And this is something that I've talked about before. So let's look into some of these things next. So Kamala Harris, what can she offer? If she offers the Ching, therefore, seems to suggest that if she offers a sort of consistent, a long-term vision, that she could have she could be a formidable opponent to Trump. Her strength is going to be her appeal to the female voters. However, her weakness is her position on the world stage. Her weakness is probably the borders and decisive decisions that have to be made that are difficult to make. And the Ching is really telling us that we require really a strong male energy in some respects in order to counter these things. So in essence, what do I think? She'd be seen as kind, but weak. That's the problem. And there's another issue that concerns me really about the whole overall thing with this, because again, we're not, just like we got in the UK and everywhere now, it seems, we're seeing our votes, we're seeing our politics, we're seeing our democracy, I suppose, being manipulated by people who want to hold on to their own power. It's clear now, isn't it, that Biden was an absolute puppet. You know, I was predicting so far back that he'd be removed, but then it started to be obvious that he needs to be removed. He's too old. He was being manipulated like a puppet. Couldn't we accuse those Democrats really of elder abuse with what was going on there? You know, I think all of us, we were watching this in the end, were completely sure that he was not fit for office, and he'd not been fit for office for a long time. And I think one of the things that they're going to throw at this is that Kamala Harris knew this all along. She, you know, propped him up until the time was right for her to step in. So we're starting to see again here another conspiracy in the background. You know, the Clintons have an influence, Obama have an influence, and Kamala Harris is just as complicit in this whole thing. We knew that Biden was not fit for office. I mean, who would call somebody who's, call somebody Putin like he did?
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
See, it's the same, isn't it? It's always the same. I think of it as the United Snakes of America. These are the people behind the scenes, aren't they? The people behind the scenes that have manipulated a senile old man, basically, and knew what they were doing. This is the liberal establishment who seem to have a contempt for democracy. And it's the same thing happening everywhere, all around the world. The liberals have become the establishment, and they want to hold on to their power at all costs. So they lied to us. So that's my thoughts on that. I've got to give an opinion on this, because I feel that we're going to hear a lot more about this. There was a lot of cruelty done in the name of all being very kind to people in the world, isn't it? There's a lot of cruelty going on there to Joe Biden. And this is why these people that want to control us all in the background, some call it the deep state, don't they? I mean, I think it's multiple things. It's not just one organization. It's not one Illuminati behind it all. It's a number of negative forces who want to hold on to political power, want to hold on to their commercial power, want to hold on to their sphere of influence in whatever field you can think about. They hate anything that challenges that. And that's why we don't get what we voted for. And that's why people hate popularism, because popularism is actually the voice of the people. And it's very hard to get your voice heard nowadays. So what are my predictions? I mean, there's a lot one could say, but I'm going to give you 4 main predictions here now. The first one, Kamala Harris will not be elected as the next president of the USA. I don't think she'll beat Trump whatsoever. She'll fail in her endeavors for some of the reasons I've already spoken about. Next one, Kamala Harris will be replaced by Gavin Newsom. I don't think she'll continue with her with her bid for the presidency. I get a feeling something's going to happen that's going to make them change their candidate part way through, which will be disastrous. Her running mate. People have been asking who's going to be Kamala Harris's running mate. It's very difficult to make a prediction very close to things like this. You'll notice the predictions I make that I get right, very right, are the things that are done way before they come into the news, a long time ahead, at least a year or more ahead. I will usually make my predictions. So to be honest, it's very difficult for me to make a prediction on that. I'll give you my gut feeling though. My gut feeling is Andy Beshear will be Kamala Harris's running mate. I'm not 100% with that. It could also be Josh Shapiro. He also stands a good chance, I feel, with that. But those are my thoughts, my gut feeling thoughts. But I don't feel 100% with that. I don't feel 100% with that, if I'm honest. But this is something that I think is going to be, the next one is going to be very critical to things, because I see that during the lead up, to the US elections in November, we're going to see a new international crisis of some sort. Kamala Harris will show herself to be not up to the job during this time. Could this be Taiwan, or am I seeing something different? Right on the elections, I said some way back that I felt there was going to be some crisis on the election time, right on November. I got it right when I said there would be an assassination on Trump in August, which I said a year ago, which happened end of July, almost in August, very close. And I also have said a number of times that I feel there's something that's going to kind of explode at the time of the actual, right on the elections. Could this be Taiwan? And would it show the need for strong and powerful leadership? So my thoughts, when you look at Kamala Harris, they often criticize her for her word salads and her inability to speak well. With Trump, they often see him as being a person who has a very strong attitude, but also perhaps an uncaring attitude. And also, you know, how we paint the picture of these people through all the info commercials we see, all the adverts we see, and all the press censorship and editing we see is very hard for anybody to really get a view of the person themselves. But ultimately, I think Kamala Harris will lose against Donald Trump. So let's now have some of your questions. So we're going to take a break for a second. I'll just put up a little screen for a minute while I just gather my thoughts, and we can discuss this and also have your questions ready. So put your questions up now, guys, and I'll be able to address some of those in the questions and answer section coming up now. Well, if you've been enjoying the show so far, could you consider becoming a patron of the channel? That means if you have a look in the description below, you can become what's called a patron. That is, you give a small amount each month to support the channel. You'll also get lots of extras and, see extra videos, sometimes little bits of me and Jane behind the scenes. And you can interact with me because we have forums and comments there. And I kind of get to know you all. So you can either give a small amount or a larger amount. Go and have a look in the description below and look for the link to become a patron. It helps this channel tremendously because it helps to give me time to do these things. Otherwise, you imagine trying to do 2 videos every week. It's a lot of time consuming, which, it helps buy me some time, basically. And similarly, if you have a look at the bottom there, I've also got the YouTube version of this on the site as well. You can click the join button and that'll give you access to videos a little bit earlier in the day, as it were. So that's the YouTube version of this too. So you can join both or either, and you'll get more information, more behind the scenes stuff, and so on. So it helps the channel tremendously. So guys, do that, or at least always give us a thumbs up and always make a comment and always share it if you can. It helps the channel tremendously. So thanks ever so much for all of you that support us. Some of the patrons being shown below. Thank you so much, guys, for being patrons. There you go. Hope you don't mind the advert like that, guys. But it does help us me a great deal if you can become patrons and help support the channel. Not that I'm particularly after your money, I suppose so. But it gives me a bit of time. It helps me to actually be able to spend the time on the channel, because you can imagine it does take a great deal of time. So so thanks for all your comments you've been making as we've been running that today. I want to sort of answer some of your questions now, because you've been putting some interesting ones up. Let's have a look. So I've got my sort of comments on the side here. I'm just going to click on a couple and see what okay, this is quite interesting, because I noticed that a few of you have been asking this question. I mean, a lot of you have been wondering, is Joe Biden still alive? Because he seems to have kind of disappeared off the stage. And could it even be a body double? I mean, that question always seems to come up all the time about, is somebody a body double or not? But I personally think he's still there. I get the feeling, though, because we had all this COVID business, didn't we, with him, which came, I don't know, it was just too convenient getting COVID, wasn't it? When you think about it, there was pressure being put upon him straight away to move from the presidency. I mean, ever since he debated Donald Trump, with that horrendous TV debate, which completely he was, you didn't even need to wipe the floor with him, because he did it himself, really, unfortunately. Obviously, all sides of the Democrats, the Hillary Clinton side and the Obama side, which I think often fight between themselves in the Democrats, I feel, both agreed we got to get rid of this guy straight away. So suddenly he gets COVID. Now that was almost like an alarm, that rung an alarm bell to me. And I've got to admit, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, I don't want to be, the perpetrator of conspiracy theories, but the Trump assassination seemed to come at a very convenient time, just when, I just lost my camera for a second there. It came at a very convenient time, just as Biden was beginning to fail. And it makes me wonder, who was that shooter there, really? We don't know anything really about him. It's all been clouded in a mystery. And it makes me think that was a complete setup, to be honest, because there was so much going on there. And it's all this convenient time where the pressure now out there is starting to build. And one of you asked here about Xi Jinping, right? I see it there. There it is. Is Xi Jinping and die soon? I get a funny feeling there's going to be some real serious problems coming up again in China soon. Now, in my predictions that I made some while back, I did say that I felt that the Taiwan crisis is likely to happen at the time of the American elections. Now, we're coming into that phase now, right in the last months as we come up to the elections. And if there is something wrong with Xi Jinping, because I said a little while back, I think, well, I've certainly been thinking about it. I think I have said it on video already, but I get the feeling there's an illness around him, and I don't think he's got long, and that could create all sorts of fractious problems. And it's often when you get a change of leadership and things like this, or when someone wants to reaffirm their authority, things go wrong. So I think we really do have to watch out for Taiwan as we come up to this period. Oh, I see another new member. Thank you for joining us as a member. You actually listened to my video. Very kind. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Hopefully I'll see you in the members areas. So there's quite a few of you said about Joe Biden and the COVID thing. The US dollar, I think, it's gonna go through some pretty hectic times until the election. After the election, then I feel it'll shoot up. I think you're going to see the US dollar bouncing around pretty bad, actually, with some serious concerns about the American financial world. So I'd be very cautious at the moment with all forms of investment that you do, because I think until after the election, whatever party wins, and like I say, I predict that Trump will win, but whatever happened, I think it would be very wise to wait until more stable conditions are with you before you make any serious investments. Although often it's the most volatile times that the biggest fortunes are made, isn't it? I'm just trying to catch some of your questions, guys, here. Sorry, they move pretty fast. What's that one there? Sorry, I'm trying. Do you have any thoughts on when Pope Francis will depart? I did comment on that. I don't really want to make a prediction on that at the moment. I did say I didn't feel we had long with him. That's a hi, Craig. So I'm trying to hook on to. I can't comment on that. I can't comment on that one. Sorry, but I do worry about who controls the strings behind the scenes with all of this. You know, I see other questions coming up. Sorry, I think that's probably quite true. Something like that, I think, is in the pipeline. Sorry, I'm trying to catch your questions. They're coming so fast I can't click on them. No, frankly, I think I said there was one. There's been one attempted assassination of Trump. I get the sense that when he does become president again, I think we'll get a second attempt on Trump's life. In fact, I get a feeling we might see multiple assassination attempts, not necessarily always on Trump either, because I get the feeling also that another figure's going to get hit, someone else that is a high political figure in America. That's coming early next year, I feel. Probably January, February sort of time. I can't click on things quick, and I hit the wrong one when I hit them too. Okay, I think I'm not going to answer that. Oh, I keep hitting the wrong buttons. Sorry, it's moving so fast here. I can't get I need a bit of assistance with this. Let's just see if we can get one more. Well, like I say, I think my feeling has been Gavin Newsom is going to be probably the next main candidate for the Democrats. He's obviously not at the moment, but things can change, and a week in politics is a very long time. And I feel that something's going to happen. I get the feeling Kamala Harris won't do the whole stint. I get the feeling she's been waiting there, wanting to get in. She's been itching to get in. She's been propping up Biden, hasn't she? She's been the poisonous honey. She's been there being all nice, but she's had an eye on the being the president for a long time. And although Gavin Newsom is not the best of people, I think, to be putting forward, I get a feeling he's the one that's going to be the strongest candidate. Certainly, if he doesn't go this time, Gavin Newsom will go in the American elections that will follow this. It's incredible how much power Nancy Pelosi has got, isn't it, really? And I think she's been one of the biggest pullers of the strings in the background for a long, long time. And of course, as we know, she absolutely hates Trump. I'm trying to catch you. Might get it. Will we? Wrong question. I missed the one. I was trying to click the one about the will we ever have a female president? Will we ever end up with one world government? That's an interesting thought, isn't it? My thoughts with that are I actually think it's quite a dangerous thing, and I don't think centralization of things is always a very good thing. I've always felt that decentralization of things is better. You know, I think smaller countries working collectively is better. I think many voices, particularly on world stage, are better than one voice. Sometimes you need a strong voice to fight for your corner, as it were. So, for example, you know, fight for your country or fight for your political party, whichever side you fall. But my thoughts of the idea of a world government, although it sounds a wonderful utopian sort of idea, and we can subscribe to the idea there's only one humanity and that's all of us, you know, that's a great idea. But every time we see the centralization of power, we always see trouble. And we see it, don't we, very much with the commercial world. As soon as we start getting globalization of the economies, we find that the ripoff is global, not just local, you know. So my hope is, and I think it will be the case, I feel that there'll be a breaking down of countries in the future, you know, like I've suggested before, that I feel that China will break into multiple countries, which will be a good thing. I hope, and I feel, and I think this is going to happen, that Europe's going to break up. And I feel that will be a good thing, because too big is not good. We don't want big conglomerate countries warring against each other. We want all of them to be small, but all of them to be working collectively in a democracy, a world democracy. I think that will come one day. And I do feel that we're going to see you know, I've spoken about these things before. And I feel that there will be a rise, for example, of India in the future, which I think spiritually will help the world. And I feel that there will be America will become a stronger country again. And I feel that, you know, the countries of Europe will become stronger when they break into smaller groups as opposed to individual countries. I feel Europe will break into multiple small groups, federations. Well, I think we're getting to the end of it now, guys. I can't get on your click on your stuff quick enough to be able to catch it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that today. I'm going to have to finish it there, I think. So don't forget, I become a patron, join the YouTube channel here as well. That really does help me. And although I'm not got any room left on my site for psychic readings, you can always go and buy one of my books. That supports the channel. Or you can also go and join one of my webinars and chat with me directly through Zoom. So it's all there. Have a look on psychics.co.uk. You see in the top of the screen. And I'll see you again soon. And don't forget, if you've got any thoughts, put them in the and if you want other topics that you'd like me to cover soon, please put them in the comments below, because I do read every single comment that comes on here. I don't respond to them all. I'll only respond to members' comments mainly, because that's all I have time for. But do put your comments about what you'd like me to look at next. All right. Thanks for joining me. See you soon, guys. Bye for now. If you look back at my earlier predictions, and in particular the predictions I made on the newspaper, the Sun's website, I did actually say on there, the actual words were, there will be a flu epidemic linked to bioterrorism. my thoughts are that Liz Truss will make it to the final, be the next PM. I think she will actually have a final battle between her and Rishi Sunak. We've not seen the full end of Boris Johnson either, I tell you, but Rishi Sunak actually will eventually, I feel, be the next leader of the Conservatives. So I think there's going to be a few conflicts that Britain's going to be drawn into, including I think Russia is going to take some moves against Ukraine. I think she will make it past her platinum jubilee, which comes up this year. But I think after that, we'll see a sudden and quick deterioration in the Queen's health. And I think we might lose the Queen towards the end of 2022. There's going to be a huge backlash from over the Netflix programs and screening, because I feel it comes out at a bad time. Charles will come to become King Charles, but his reign, I feel, will be short. I said that Prince Charles would be hit by an egg. And of course, there it is, all in the press today. Marvellous person she is. She does something that extraordinary. That could even put her life a little bit at risk with the way she did this. Okay. Is there something also there that's not been spoken about fully? Did they also discover something with Kate that wasn't quite right? A huge swarm of people knocking the doors of Europe and America. And I feel that Ukraine conflict is going to be a kind of a grinding conflict that goes on and on. I also feel that there's something going to happen in the Middle East as well. I feel as if there's going to be a sudden and unexpected thing happen in the Middle East. So I feel they're going to take it into their own hands, and I feel we're going to get a strike from Israel. This is going to be one of the significant things in 2023.